data, very instructive. It shows at a minimum record-breaking surging among Latino voters in several different battleground states. Let's take a look here. 89% up in Florida from 2008. Florida has over 50% turnout already, and the polls are just opening there. 79% Latinos are up in early voting in North Carolina. 144% in Georgia. That's an important pink state there. So, and that's since 2012. Some are saying there could be a specific reason behind the numbers. Take a listen.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
Somebody's doing the raping, Don. I mean, you know, somebody's doing the, just think it's women being raped. Well, who's doing the raping?
This judge is giving us unfair rulings. We're building a wall. He's a Mexican. We're building a wall between here and Mexico.
We will build a great wall, and Mexico will pay for the wall 100%.
So is that what it's about? Let's debate with our CNN political commentators. We've got Corey Lewandowski, former Trump campaign manager, and Christine Quinn, Hillary Clinton supporter, vice chair of the New York State Democratic Party. The reason that we've seen a softening in wall talk and a softening in the anger towards immigrants that Trump was voicing early on, is it because you guys know that this group can hurt you?
Well, I think, look, anybody who doesn't realize the political reality that the country is changing is going to fail. There's no question about that. But what we do know is that in states like North Carolina and states like Florida, there is an uptick in Hispanic turnout. We know that. But there's also an uptick in white turnout in North Carolina. There's a downtick in African-American turnout. So, look, I don't want to look at just one part, one nationality and say this is going to be the make or break. Of course the country continues to change. You're going to see that in a state like Nevada, where Hispanic turnout is up much more so than it was even 4 years ago. But I think at the end of the day, the country is becoming more diverse, and any candidate who wants to be successful is going to have to put a new coalition together in order to get there.
Ironically, Donald Trump said just that after the 2012, he was one of those weighing in and saying, boy, if you don't pass immigration reform and start treating these people with respect, you Republicans are never going to win anything. And yet he doubled down on the ugly side of that message. However, what does that mean for Hillary Clinton? If they're coming out just to voice an expression of Donald Trump and rejection, that's one thing. But you have the Cuban community, you got a Latinos, they are not the African-American community. They have different sense of family values and economic establishment in this country that they favor, which could create a different break. They won't be 95-5 the way African-Americans are. Maybe it's 80-20. Maybe it's 78-22. What does that mean?
Well, I think clearly for today, Election Day, we know that the vast majority of Latino and Hispanic voters who are turning out in support of Clinton. Is part of that because Donald Trump has been vile and racist? Yes. But part of that is also about Hillary's support for the community, her work with community, and her history of fighting for women and children. Now, I don't really think, even with communities who people say vote in a monolithic way, I don't really think that's true ever. And the Latino Hispanic community is incredibly diverse. And that's why Hillary is the best person absolutely in this race to represent that community, because she's somebody who's built her career on listening, on engaging, and problem solving, not putting cookie-cut answers out there that she thinks speaks for a huge bunch of Americans. That's not what she's going to do, and that's why she's going to represent that community and so many others in a informed and effective way.
So, to the extent that we have untrained minds going into the polls this morning who are literally open, they know it's their duty, they know it matters, it's too ugly, it's too angry, I got to get in there and say my part. What do you say to the voter who's saying, you know, this Hillary Clinton, you know, this email stuff bothers me. I need to know that I can trust one of these people. She has been there a long time through a lot of things, and I want something different. Why is Hillary Clinton the choice for that person?
Well, I would say a couple reasons. I mean, I've known Hillary Clinton and had the great honor and privilege of calling her a mentor and working with her for 20 years. And this may sound like one of those spin tactics, but it is true that there have been almost 30 years of groups and entities and people attacking her and attacking her husband. I can tell you personally, Hillary Clinton's the person who has called me on every birthday since we've met, on every gay pride. When I've had bad political moments, she's the first one to call and say, call me if you need me, keep your chin up. She's somebody who cares about people deeply. And as president, that's going to be her focus. Women and children and how to make this country better. And she has, you know, there's a discussion of change. And change just for change's sake isn't good. You can change and go in the wrong direction and get profoundly lost in a way that will hurt this country. She has experience and commitment, and that's what we need right now.
And the proposition of rejection, potentially on your side, is what this man says and what he says he's going to do offends me. And I don't believe that he is one of the working class. He's a billionaire and he's never done anything for that group. But I do want something different. I don't like the status quo. Why should they vote for Trump?
Look, I think we can all agree that Washington, D.C. is broken and that politicians on both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats, for 30 years have made promises they haven't delivered on. We know that between 1 in 4 and 1 in 5 African Americans still live in poverty today. 1 in 4 and 1 in 5, Latinos live in poverty today. Our debt is at $20 trillion. That's something we're going to leave to our children and our grandchildren. We have an obligation to do something different. And when you ask the American people, Republicans and Democrats combined, do you think our country is going in the right track or the wrong track? The plurality by 50% say we're going in the wrong track. So if you like the way that things have gone and you think that Washington is going well, then absolutely you should elect someone who's got 30 years of Washington, D.C. experience. If you think that it's time to fundamentally change Washington and elect somebody who isn't bought and paid for by special interests, that is going to put Americans first, then you say, I'm going to give Donald Trump the opportunity to go do that. I think that's the fundamental argument.
If Donald Trump loses this election, what does he say tonight?
Look, I think you have to see what the outcome is. I think what we see right now is that
if he loses.
Sure. Look, if it's a decisive loss, I don't think that's going to be the case.
Nobody can question it. He loses. Hypothetically, what does he do?
I don't think that's going to be the case, but I think what he's going to say, and what I would counsel him to say is, this has been a historic movement, and you can never give up. He has brought people together that have been outside the political process for a long time. Let me say this. When Barack Obama was first elected, I was a Romney guy. I said, look, but you want to support the President of the United States, and you want hope. And if Donald Trump doesn't win tonight, I'm going to be devastated, disappointed. I put a lot of time and effort into that campaign. But let me say this. The country always comes back, regroups, and does what's the best.
And you know what?
Same question to you. If Hillary Clinton loses, what does she say tonight?
She says, congratulations, Mr. Trump, and I'm here ready to help you in any way to lead the country. She'll accept the results, and I think that's a stark and important contrast between the two candidates. What Corey said is not what Donald Trump has said. Not at all. He said he'll accept the results if he wins. He doesn't hold the foundation and real meaning of this country. He doesn't hold it close to his heart by saying he won't follow that commitment.
The three most powerful words and amorphous words in our language. We will see, because you could argue whoever loses